What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Hawks Film Room Podcast, hosted by yours truly, David Lee, aka Dilly43. Please make sure you like, subscribe, share the podcast wherever you may see fit. Check out my Substack linked in the bio. Check me out on Twitter, YouTube, Ti TikTok, wherever it may be. We definitely appreciate the support and all those different things. What a game! What a game! Double OT. The first overtime game of the Hawks season went to double overtime. Hawks were up about 8 or 6, I think, with a couple seconds left. Ended up giving up a 5-point swing on a foul, and then a missed free throw, which then led to a made three-pointer. But they pulled it out nonetheless. 142-134, your final score. Jalen Johnson, 41 points, career high 41, 14 rebounds, all defensive, 7 assists. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 34, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. He is looking like the best signing of the offseason, at least if we're talking about like value. I should feel obliged to remind everyone that he is on a $64 million contract over 4 years. He had 7 points in overtime, was money from the free throw line, had 11 points in the third quarter to keep the Hawks in it when they're kind of letting go of the rope a little bit. Can't say enough about Jalen Johnson's physicality. He ended up with a -3 in the box score, which is pretty funny because him and Nickeil both played 45 minutes. Why is Jalen's plus minus so much worse? Well, Nickeil was on the floor for a 12-0 run in the fourth quarter with like Keenan Wallace and guys like that on the floor. Jalen Johnson was on the floor. Sometimes it's just as simple as that. But Jalen took 8 threes. Also, super timely made free throws and three-pointers from Jalen Johnson. But there's still, like always, the film does not lie. The clutch execution, shoddy at best. Onyeka was open on pretty much every shot he took from three. He was 5 of 7 on twos, which is phenomenal, but he was 0 for 7 on threes. And I think that's somewhat indicative of what the role has to be for him when they're continuing to playing with Jalen and Dyson and guys who just don't necessarily draw that much attention from the defense. Philly is a pretty gritty team, especially with Bono on the floor, but with Embiid on the floor, I mean, the Hawks ran them out the gym. So I'll give you all a couple numbers and then to really understand what I'm saying. All right. The Hawks took 44% of their shots at the rim, 93rd percentile. They got out on transition on 17% of their possessions, which is slightly above league average, but they added almost 10 points per 100 possessions in transition. That's the 93rd percentile. To extrapolate that across the whole game, this is where it gets a bit shocking and a bit jarring. Atlanta had 37 transition possessions in today's game, and they scored 1.1 points on those. Philly had just 13. And so for all the and ones that Tyrese Maxey was getting, some of the offensive rebounds, the Hawks were offsetting that by getting out and running, including they had 10 transition possessions in the fourth quarter. That's insane. That's usually when the transition game dries up. So very impressive for them in that particular aspect. Yeah, it's a lot to talk about with this game. I honestly, to be transparent, didn't get to watch the first half, really most of the third quarter as well. I wasn't going to record this, so I went back and watched. But then pretty much that fourth quarter and the next consecutive overtimes were enough to draw, a good amount of conclusions and share some different things that I found throughout the game. So let's go ahead and hop in the film. Into tonight's game, Philly was one of the better transition scoring offenses in the league. They ranked 5th. They were 7th in cuts. In tonight's game versus the Hawks, they were held way below their season average in transition. So great transition defense from the Hawks. But the Hawks were also pretty decently connected in the half court. Philly did end up having a really strong isolation scoring game. Some of that, when you have guys like Maxey, Paul George, even Embiid to a much lesser extent, which honestly it's really sad at this point to where he's moving around. He kind of looks like Sabonis if he was 400 pounds and scared to shoot. It's not like I'm a big Embiid guy, so it really does hurt to see. But like in the half court, regardless, they have great shot makers. Quentin Grimes had a big night. I think he might have had as many points as he had minutes. Those guys are very capable of scoring out of these isolation situations. But when the Hawks were tasked to rotate, they did a fantastic job. And this is one of my favorite clips from the game. So let's go ahead and hop right into it, man. So again, when we talk about Philly, they play a lot of 3-guard lineups. So here's Quentin Grimes, here's VJ Edgecombe, and this is Jared McCain. And when they run these lineups, of course, there's going to be a lot of driving kick. There's going to be a lot of trying to run guys off the line. But these guys are typically very dangerous guys off the dribble. I think Jared McCain has lost a lot of athleticism and burst. Hopefully he can regain that because he was a lot of fun. He also looks just very hampered. Not as much as Embiid, but still like not anywhere like himself, right? So you're going to get this step-up screen from Adem Bono with his butt to the baseline. And when Grimes turns the corner here, you see the Hawks are bringing Luke Kennard early to tag Bona potentially, right? So when Luke Kennard helps off this aggressively, of course, when Grimes turns the corner, he wants to get it to Jared McCain here in the corner. but I want you to watch what Mohamed Gay does. Immediately shuts down that advantage. And so because Gay takes the initiative to pick up Luke's assignment, this is excellent defense. This is things that we see Dyson and Nickeil do pretty effortlessly. It's things that Mohamed Gay has done more consistently as well. This X out, right? Picking up this corner man and then allowing Luke to make a shorter closeout to his man. Phenomenal defensive connectivity. And so Luke understands this. He tries to make a play on the ball, but he turns his head, sees that Mo is flashing to his man. There's no miscommunication here. He's not going to fly to McCain either. He's going to get straight to edge come. And he's there to edge come, and he's able to somewhat beat the pass. He's not in great defensive positioning where his feet are, but look how quickly he moves his hips. He cuts off that initial drive. They get into a dribble handoff, and Mohamed Gay is more than capable of contesting that shot from Jared McCain. So beautiful defensive possession, and there are multiple ones just like this in tonight's game. I wanted to talk through some of their transition game, particularly in the fourth quarter, which is honestly like ridiculous. This is going to be another Nickeil Alexander-Walker sponsored segment. The man is playing great basketball, and quite honestly, he's been one of the Hawks' best options in transition. His finishing numbers, for whatever reason, his like per possession numbers aren't great, but it feels like anecdotally every time I watch him push and he's the guy with the ball, the Hawks are generating good shots, and his finishing as well, I think, is pretty underrated. So here we have one first thing I want to point out. Look how hard Mohamed Gay runs. And when Gay goes streaking down the floor, you see he demands Justin Edwards to follow him. He's going to clear out that middle of the floor. And then Nickeil can get to work. Watch how Veet's going to do this 45 cut behind Jared McCain's back. McCain is looking for him, can't find him. And then when they reset it, they get it to Keaton Wallace. And this is, again, it's simple basketball, man, but this is why you want guys to run in transition. The Hawks have great transition principles. Mohamed Gay fills this lane, and you got Keaton Wallace filling this lane. It's like 4 verticals basically. And this off script, impromptu 45 cut from Veet Krejci is going to occupy VJ Edgecombe because Jared McCain is ball watching. And it creates a wide open 3 because VJ's like, hey man, like this is your man. I got to leave mine in the corner. And it creates a wide open 3. Again, very, very good basketball. This next possession, Nickeil's going to take it himself, I believe, off of the jump ball. Again, watch where Mohamed Gay takes off. He's leaving. I think his matchup is Justin Edwards here. So when Edwards goes for that loose ball, it's now create a floor imbalance, and Nickeil can get it ahead to him. And this is a strong gather, keeping it high where that guard can't swipe down, gathering through the foul. My goodness, man. This game took 3 hours. And okay, double overtime, sure. Some of the foul calls, some of the reviews, it was definitely drawn out. So big props to Mo Gay finishing through the contact there because that probably should have been an N1. Philly loves to run these types of screens for Tyrese Maxey spread pick and roll, usually sometimes with 5 out, but here they've got MP camping in the dunker. Nickeil dives a bit on the screen. He gets shoved on the hip. But watch the hands here from Mo Gay, man. So when Tyrese loves these low dribble pickups, Mo Gay's 6'11". But when you can scratch your knee standing up, but even that low is available to him to knock the ball away. Phenomenal defensive play. Hawks get on the floor. They're pushing. They're going to get it to Nickeil. And Nickeil gathers. This is nasty too. So let's watch this. Slow this down. Let's slow this down real quick. So he's going to gather here, left foot, boom, boom. Know that VJ is chasing. Get it high off the glass with the left hand and kiss it off the glass. This is what I mean. I was always a fan of Nickeil. I quite honestly just wasn't familiar with the finishing package, man. It's way better than I thought. Like to have the presence of mind to gather low, but still get it up high and scoop it over that impending shot blocker. That's big time. And big reason why the Hawks transition conversion has been so much better. Not just Jalen, but also Nickeil as well. The Hawks also did a really good job helping off of certain guys. Justin Edwards and Dominic Barlow, if they were on the floor, the Hawks were sending help. And you're going to have to send help because they have so many drivers. Again, here's 1, 2, 3 guards. And Nickeil can contain the point of attack. Keaton, somewhat. Veet, if it's not a strength disadvantage, yes. And so when this exit screen comes from Joel Embiid, this pin in to create a shot from Justin Edwards, Mo Gay just sells out on the drive because they'd much rather have Justin Edwards take this shot. He's had a rough season. Don Barlow as well. And look who's getting that board. Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He's pushing the ball up the floor. Watch how the Hawks are running the floor one more time. Everyone else, you're going to have – typically they'll have at least one guy cut through from the perimeter. It kind of creates – what this will do is eliminate this nail help, right? If Keaton Wallace would have stopped at the 3-point line here, He doesn't create this window for driving. Now Quentin Grimes has his back to the basket. A lot of teams don't attack this early in the shot clock, so Grimes feels like he can relax. He by no means can do so, and this ends up being a foul. I mean, the fact that he was able to get this up and around Embiid, very impressive. Um, even maybe could have got to a little dump off possibly, but ends up getting the foul. Let's look at this next possession. Again, look how much they're selling out. This is, I believe this, I can't remember the exact action that Philly ran before. They got both corners filled. Mohamed Gay does not care about Justin Edwards. He's going to sell out on this drive, force that kick out. And then look how Onyeka plays this, right? So he was guarding Embiid. When Justin Edwards lifts, this is the most immediate pass for Quentin Grimes. And he throws it without looking. Onyeka takes away, finds Nickeil streaking. And then they ended up smoking this possession, unfortunately. Veet smoked it. Oh, they caught a foul on that? I could have swore that that was the one that he smoked. There was one earlier, though. Again, off a turnover. Dembona is not the greatest short roll decision maker. I'm on the record for not being, the biggest fan of his game. I think that he's really fun to watch, but he's guys who spike the ball into the stands are also pretty prone to make decisions like this. Nickeil knows that Bona's easiest decision, like the least, I guess the term would be like the most available or like the least advanced decision to make is to kick this to the corner. And so as soon as the Keel sees Adem gets it, he's just gonna haul ass to the corner. And Adem looks at it, he's like, oh damn, I can't throw it. Now he's already committed to passing. He's not in any position to step around Keaton Wallace. So he just turns around and throws it. And there's Vit Krejci again using that same technique that Onyeka did. And now the Hawks are out and running. Maybe this is the one where they smoked every layup. Yeah, this is the one. There were a couple of goofy sequences in this game, man. Paul George also gifted us with some all-timers. 8 minutes on the shot clock. Onyeka on the island. Shot goes up. Hawks attack the glass. Look at Nickeil boxing out Adem Bona. Mohamed Gay high points it. Again, this is that unit that went on that 12-0 run, and a lot of it was in transition. This is what you have to do when you're running a bench unit, right? Like, you're not going to have the half-court offense or creation. Nickeil just pulls up and takes it. Believe that's a miss. But it ends up being an offensive rebound for Vit Krejci, and I want to say they ended up scoring on that play. Now they got the starters back in. Now, there was a shot earlier in this quarter where Jalen Johnson did not contest Tyrese Maxey. But again, look where the help is coming from. It's coming off of Don Barlow. No one, like, he's not a threat. He's not a threat offensively. I like that Jalen was able to capitalize on this. He goes straight up, but the arms are angled. I'm not mad if you want to say that's a foul. I'm just happy that he's contesting shots at the rim. He completely blankets Maxey. Maxey tries to sort of like twist it around him. He's not quite able to do it. The most valuable possession in basketball based on possession start is after a turnover. Steal, specifically a live ball turnover. Right after that, an at-rim miss, and you see exactly why. Tyrese Maxey goes crashing to the floor. He's calling for a foul. It's now 5-on-4, and no one is waiting for Maxey to get up. Mohamed Gay takes off. Jalen Johnson takes off. Ball gets advanced to Jalen. Jalen's able to attack. Now here, Jalen tries to pull off a no-look lob. Just make the simple play here, in my opinion. Maybe even try bounce pass here. This is a tougher pass. This is the type of pass. Hey, Trey can make this pass. Unfortunately, Jalen, we're not there yet, and that's okay, my guy. But this needs to be a corner skip, or you need to attack Adem Bona, or you need to hit this here because Quentin Grimes sniffed this out immediately. He fooled no one with this no look. So I love that Mohamed Gay ran the floor, but you see, at this point, Quentin Grimes had already figured out that this is the most immediate threat, and when Jalen tries to no look this, he fools no one but Paul George. And he doesn't quite throw it high enough. Like, this would need to be like right here, right near the rim. But he puts it just close enough to Quentin Grimes for him to make a play on it. So, the decision-making will get there. Not a bad look. It's a bad angle. Like, this has to be lofted. It was more so like right here. He lofts it right here. Not that close to the rim. But y'all understand the point I'm saying. It just wasn't it was a poorly placed lob. And it ends up being I think that was the and one because Dyson went to contest and he slipped and then he took Maxey's leg out and Maxey still made it. So here Paul George attacks Zach Rizachet. Rizachet is able to stick with him a little bit, contests well with that right arm. And Onyeka comes over as well. Look how, man, Embiid, man, he's not getting off the floor at all. Oh man. But yeah, Onyeka snags a rebound. Now listen, Zach just contested a shot. Here's what am I saying? At rim miss. Second most efficient possession in basketball based off possession start. Look at Zach take off. The Hawks immediately have numbers once again. They're playing an older team, and right now you've got 4-on-4. Zach's gonna or Jalen. This is a nice pass. This is a much better job of manipulation. He never really kind of looks over at Zach until that last second. He drew two. Unfortunately, just a miss from Zach, but better decision making from Jalen there. I think he learned from it. I didn't like this call. If they're going for the loose ball, I don't know. Kind of whack. I think that's the end of the transition possession, but I got a couple more clips. All right, let's talk clutch execution. Down the stretch, it is a little bit rough to ask. Well, I mean, honestly, no one else can do it but Nickeil. I didn't like that Nickeil was not initiating the offense down the stretch, especially in the fourth quarter. At the end of the fourth quarter, but particularly in overtime, it just was kind of nasty, man. And I think again, some of it's just limitations for this particular unit as shooters. It just isn't a lot of options for them. Here's this. Take a look at this opening possession. Now, when you come out of a jump ball scenario, these are normally organized possessions, right? I like that the Hawks, and this is referencing the login I've been doing. The Hawks' least efficient pick and roll action is inverted pick and roll. Inverted pick and roll is when you have a big, usually the 4 or the 5, have a screen set for them by the guard. So here's Nickeil and it's Dyson. This play in particular, this is more so like a ghost double drag action, right? Because you're going to have Nickeil act like he's going to set the screen. Grimes is calling it out to Paul George. Then he goes out of it. And then Dyson comes to set the actual screen. And when that forces that switch from Tyrese Maxey, Hawks are at an advantage here, but the spacing isn't great. Zach crept over here in the short corner. Not the worst thing, but now this pass is a lot much easier defended. And you can kind of just see some of the problems here. Especially the Hawks ball handlers. If they're Jalen and Dyson in particular have an issue with picking the ball up early. Jalen just doesn't keep his dribble alive here. And some of that's the pressure, some of that's the spacing, but yeah, not the best offensive possession to start overtime. Then get a semi-transition opportunity here. Or this actually turns into a transition opportunity. So I don't know when other teams will figure this out, but if Zach's going to contest the shot, he's not going for the rebound. He's actually going to take off as soon as the Hawks get the rebound. And he just leaks right behind Embiid. And this is free eats. Zach got up on this dunk too. Maybe the most powerful dunk I've seen from him. At least like from that particular, it wasn't off 2 feet. Here, spread pick and roll. Hawks are using 4 in, 1 out alignment. You got Dyson here in the dunker. Jalen's going to drive. Bumps. This is tough. It's tough spacing. Jalen also got a shot blocked in this particular setting. I like that Dyson's relocating here. You probably want to see if Onyeka can pop just to make this a little bit less crowded. But this is a tough angle, tough pass. And also Onyeka was like 0 for 6 at that point. So I'm not sure Embiid would have respected him out there anyways. Generally speaking, I think the Hawks leaning on pick and roll in the half court isn't as great right now, especially if it's going to be inverted. But, they only have so many options. Here, this is a veer action. So the Hawks run a lot of away curl, which is basically a down screen, turns into a curl. Onyeka's going to veer this. So he's acting like he's going to shut that. Then he's going to run back up and set a screen for Jalen Johnson. Jalen's going to reject it. Then they're going to enter it to the post. Handoff. Jalen attacks. Now, here's my point, though. Like, no one is really respecting Onyeka, unfortunately. He needed his headband back, man. He just was not great. And this is where when the ball gets dribbled into the middle of the paint, man, they're just a little bit too eager to put the ball back down on the floor. And it's a problem with both Dyson and Jalen. And some of that just because I don't think there isn't a great angle here. You probably want to get to a floater or at least try to pump fake. Maybe you hit the 2 feet and try to get Embiid in the air. You can see that the spacing is crowded once again. Dyson isn't quite able to do anything either. He gets the pass barely through to Nickeil, and Nickeil bails the possession with the pull-up midi. Big time shot. Not one of many big time shots he hit. Because again, like it just isn't great. It doesn't look great. Here's off the rebound. Hawks are pushing. I liked it when Nickeil was able to handle the ball a little bit. Jalen gets downhill. Was able to find Onyeka. His shot just wasn't hitting tonight, unfortunately. Wasn't hitting tonight. But I think I'd much rather see Jalen attacking like semi-transition or transition as opposed to like the half-court set. He is a talented offensive player, of course, but it just isn't his skill. Like his in between game isn't particularly refined yet. If you notice when Jalen does take a mid range jumper, more often than not, it's going to be like in that short baseline. He isn't quite comfortable just yet getting to that pull up outside of the pick and roll ball handling, so it makes his options a bit limited when he's running as a pick and roll ball handler as opposed to someone like Nickeil. So here Nickeil is able to get past Don Barlow, step around Embiid, and probably a foul from Embiid. Hard to tell. But Onyeka gets the offensive rebound. He gets it to Zach. Rough miss from Zach here. And I think that they got another offensive rebound here. Or it was a jump ball. No, this ended up going out on McCain. And then what I really liked about this play, this was a fantastic. So this after that particular miss that Zach just had, the ball goes out of bounds. Jared McCain off the ball goes off Jared McCain. So they're in a stack alignment. They're going to run this initial curl for Jalen Johnson. But this play is designed for Onyeka to attack Embiid off the dribble. And this is great design because Embiid has been super slow. He's been sluggish, and he's just not mobile right now. So making him not just chase Onyeka off the ball, but get around a screen and then try to contain him in space. And Onyeka just takes him straightly off the dribble. And Don Barlow has to help because if he doesn't help, Onyeka is going to take this up and dunk it on Embiid. And he gets 2 feet in the paint. And this is your center kicking it out to Jalen Johnson for a wide open three. Phenomenal baseline out of bounds set from Quinn Snyder. That's a really good understanding of just like the best way to craft a shot for you guys. And knowing that, hey, maybe Jalen Johnson doesn't have it right now as an initiator. Maybe, this is our best option to attack and beat off the dribble. A really great design. McCain hit a big three. Again, we see this spread pick and roll. Jalen gets downhill. You see him pick up his dribble, but this time the Hawks do a bit of a better job moving off the ball. So Nickeil starts in the dunker, but he lifts. And when he lifts, it leaves Grimes flat-footed, and it leaves Maxey chasing him as well. And so because they're not communicating, Maxey turns his head, and he doesn't see Dyson, and Dyson's able to cut. And you've got somewhat of a legal screen from Onyeka Okongwu, but hey, we call that banging down low for a rebound. So much better off-ball movement there just to compensate for the fact that, these guys aren't really refined on the in-between game, and the spacing isn't quite there. I can't recall immediately what this possession is. I thought it was a goaltend, but Don Barlow actually got that before it got to the backboard. So impressive defense play from there. But that's again like just some of the limitations of Jalen as a pick and roll ball handler right now. He doesn't quite have the while he has grown a ton like as a foul drawer and embracing physicality, I just don't love him operating an open space from that particular possession. And that doesn't mean it won't work from time to time, but I would have loved to have seen, Nickeil operate some of these. Like the fact that it's exclusively Jalen, I just can't coast on that because this is the same exact situation. And this time he's able to get it up and off, but not quite able to get a good look at the rim. Now, Philly comes down and misses both free throws. Ridiculous. Silent out of bounds play. This is going to be a zipper cut, or they're setting up, it looks like a zipper cut at first, but they're actually setting a rip screen for Onyeka. And then I think Dyson pops here. And then they're going to set a cross screen here for Jalen Johnson, trying to get that mismatch against Grimes. Don Barlow navigates it well. Jalen Johnson catches, faces up, rips through. He's able to somehow get to the baseline, pump fakes, which big time for him to do that because otherwise that shot wasn't going anywhere. Then big free throws. The fact he hit both of those, incredibly impressive, and really shows his resolve and his growth as a overall offensive player. I think that you've got to be able to make those shots. The fact that he had 22 free throw attempts, he had more free throw attempts than field goal attempts. Maybe that star whistle is coming, man. I don't know. But again, this is why I just would have loved to see a little bit more variety in their offensive sets. In that first overtime, they're setting up their corner action here. They're entering the ball to Onyeka. Then this is a split cut where you usually have one guard set a screen for another, though you might have one dive. But this is all a misdirection because Onyeka is going to get into a dribble handoff with Jalen Johnson. And then Jalen's able to get a foul drawn here. But this is it's a better way for him to attack. Have him attack out of motion, out of movement. Him attacking a set defense from spread pick and roll, not quite there. But I like that they were able to mix this in for him as the game went on and get him going downhill in different ways. Very, very important. Here off the make, Nickeil's going to push it. And he's just going to, dang, did he miss this? Oh, yeah, he got a foul on the offensive rebound. I remember him going to the free throw line here, but I couldn't remember if it was on the initial shot or not. Then the next offensive possession, Philly scored again. Look at Nickeil pushing the pace. Attacks Grimes. He's going to flip it back to Onyeka. Onyeka drives. Kicks it to Jalen Johnson. Takes the three. Out. Krejci rebounds it. Get it back to Nickeil. And big time shot from Nickeil, man. Big. Takes that pump fake. Gets 2 Philly defenders. They're chasing each other. Big pull-up 3. Hawks go up 2. 3 minutes, 30 seconds to go. Then here, Quentin Grimes, who's been hot all night. Hawks get the rebound. Dyson's going to put the ball on the floor. Also, I do want to mention, it has to be said, Dyson was pretty detrimental on offense tonight, particularly in that down that stretch. I continue to believe that it will be better for him when Trey comes back, but there are nights where it's destructive, unfortunately, and this was one of those nights. Some of that is the tentativeness, right? Like, if you're going to be a non-shooter, you can't pick your dribble up here. And if you are like not confident of attacking these two guys or throwing a slot pass, hey, keep your dribble alive and flow into a dribble handoff here. You know what I mean? Try to create some sort of advantage, but this isn't doing much for the Hawks. And to his credit, he gets to the screen. And other thing is, Dyson is such a phenomenal offensive rebounder that he's still bringing value, but it's turning these possessions to just have to stop. They just have to get better, man. Like, I don't even know why Maxi's jumping here. I guess he thought he might have passed it, but even if this is a reverse pivot and get it back to Nickeil, get this to a dribble handoff. There's a lot of other options here, and it puts Jalen in a tough spot. And this is a good play from the Dembona, and also a decent look from Jalen Johnson as well. I think they ended up calling that out on the Hawks. So here, they've got Nickeil initiating. Big thumbs up from me. They're gonna run this corner. They're gonna enter it to Onyeka at the slot here after that reject curl action. Then they're gonna step up to an angle pick and roll. Nickeil is gonna bring it back for the rescreen. Notice how Veet's gonna space back out to the corner as Nickeil gets downhill. He's gonna reverse it back to Jalen Johnson. Jalen takes the 3. I believe that was a big time 3. He also hit another big one, but this is why I like Veet a lot as an offensive player, man. Like, and these are kind of like wheel principles, I guess, even though it's not really a drive, but you've got Veet stretching back out to the corner. You're gonna have Jalen lift a bit, usually because a team will either have this guy or this guy tag, and when you have the guy from the wing tag relocating to a better angle for the pick and roll ball handler, like if Jalen would have stayed right here, this is like within play for Don Barlow. But because Jalen lifts to the top of the key, that's a basic offensive principle, but it matters here, and it creates an open 3. Okay, boom. Now we've got Jalen initiating. Dyson calls for Nickeil to go set the screen. Here, again, I'd much rather see this, right? This is kind of like pseudo horns action. You've got 2 guards involved. Remember, Philly likes to run 3-guard lineups. And so because of that, now it's not just Don Barlow has to navigate the screen. Tyrese Maxey has to pick up Jalen Johnson. You see a bit of the hesitation with the dribble, but this is that early pickup, man. Like at the very, like you got to get to a post up here or something, man. Like turn your back to him, continue to punish him in the paint. You're bailing him out here. You're playing smaller than 6'10". It's a miracle he's still able to get a shot off and get it off the rim, to be honest. But this is why the clutch execution can look kind of nasty at times. Again, great defensive principles from the Hawks here. They're gonna let Don Barlow shoot at all costs. We're gonna cut off Tyrese Maxey's drives, make someone else try and beat us. 2 guys go to the boards for the Hawks. Nickeil has the ball in his hands. He advances it to Veet Krejci. They're gonna get into ghost dribble handoff. Nickeil's gonna throw it and chase it from Onyeka. Onyeka then ghost that dribble handoff again. And it's motion. It's motion. It's moving the ball. It's making guys defend multiple actions. It's Onyeka's ability to drive, which has gotten so much better. But boom, he's going to chase it. Grimes is alert. He's aware of that handoff. Bona is frozen. Bona allows that dribble drive, which forces Maxey to slide over. And look at Jalen Johnson, wide open. And that's not because they want him to be open. It's because they can't communicate on defense and they couldn't keep up with the motion. And that was a big way. That shot went a long way to getting the Hawks. It's a pretty comfortable position in the driver's seat down the stretch. Now, at this point, Sixers about an early double. They're going to get it to Onyeka. He's going to dribble, drive. I don't quite recall how this possession ended. Maybe free throws? I don't know. A block. And then here out of the baseline, out of bounds, they're going to get to stack. Somewhat of a similar, this is the same action that they ran where Onyeka was able to create that open three for Jalen. They get it to Onyeka. But this time, there's just not much time on the clock. So, but regardless, man, I don't know how Jalen saw him here. So Jalen catches, gathers. Tyrese Maxey helps over, probably for no reason, or honestly, unnecessarily, but another great baseline out of bound actions. I think it's pretty funny that Quinn Snyder gets so much criticism because as someone who's been like tracking every possession, I really like his offensive sets. You know, he's really maximizing this personnel, man. So again, this is stacked. You're going to have one guy curl off and go immediately to the rim. Then you're going to have another guy curl off and look to lift for that entry pass. And then you're going to have that cross screen come from Onyeka after he sets that screen. So you're kind of like screening the screener. Onyeka catches. And then Dyson just relocates to the dunker, makes himself available. And that's a big time read. This is a big time live dribble read. You know, as much as I've criticized his pick and roll processing, I think, or his ability to generate advantages downhill in the clutch out of pick and roll, I still think Jalen's a phenomenal live dribble passer. And that's why he's still a positive about half court player, despite like not being the most efficient guy himself. Here's a solid out of bounds situation. Pretty simple. They start out in flat. They're gonna have Dyson come set that inverted pick and roll. Maxey switches on to Jalen. Jalen's does a better job keeping the dribble alive here. He wants to get this to Dyson, but I'd rather you just try to take advantage of this mismatch. I get it, but this is a really tough pass. And for this to work, Nickeil would have had to get out of the paint or get out of that dunker a little bit earlier. Like Nickeil would have had to be here now because then it would have allowed Dyson to relocate because it isn't there. Like this passing window isn't really there. And just kind of tough. I think that ended up being a travel. And then that was pretty much the end of the game, man. After the Hawks got this stop, they get the ball in, and then they ended up missing that three, I believe, and ended up being a foul on Nickeil. So, man, what a game. What a game. Really enjoyed it. I really can't say enough about Jalen. Just his raw production is ridiculous. He's pretty much a guaranteed 20, 10, and 5. The defensive rebounding is really nice because it allows the Hawks to unlock that transition offense. When the ball hits his hands, when it hits Dyson's hands, you got Nickeil leaking out, you got Zach leaking out, you got Mojave Gay leaking out. Mojave Gay was pretty big offensively, although he did have that air ball floater at some point, that push shot. The synergy is clear, man. The synergy is clear. We'll see how they look against Detroit tomorrow. This is not the type of game you'd want to have before playing Detroit. It's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate. Like, not only double OT, but, you know, now you got to travel to Detroit, play those guys who are super physical. The Hawks' schedule has been brutal. I don't think that excuses the loss against Washington, but I think it's something worth mentioning. And they responded pretty well. They've been pretty good on the road. I'm expecting them to at least put up a fight against Detroit. It'd be nice if KP could play because, honestly, like, it's not right to ask Jalen and Nickeil to replicate this performance or ask them to go out and do or even play anywhere close to that, man. Like, now, as far as me, apologies for the hiatus, man. Holidays, you know, things kind of got in the way, but I was using that time in particular to work on updating the Hawks tracker, which when it's finished, you'll be able to see things like the Hawks expected points per possession on a set play, their efficiencies based on if the offense is organized, their efficiencies by actions, meaning like the actual play calls. You'll be able to see, have links to those as well. You'll be able to say pick and roll combos, like how efficient the Hawks are with certain guys are screening, certain guys are handling the ball, what types of outcomes you get, guys' influence over the offense being organized, offensive rebounds, stuff like that. It's going to be really interesting. It just takes me about like an hour and a half to 2 hours and 30 minutes to log each game. And so I'm a bit behind right now. Really want to grind them out. Thankfully, the Hawks do have a pretty large break. I think like in the middle of December, kind of like where they got like their new games against Detroit and Philly, I believe. And then the game against Washington. Anyways, like by that time, we'll definitely be done. But I really hope you all will enjoy that. It's really helped me understand what the Hawks are doing on a nightly basis. I feel like I have a pretty good feel for where their playbook is at this point. There's still times where Quinn Snyder will throw out something out there which I've never seen before, and so I have to spend time looking it up. But my hope is that once that's finished, you'll be able to get like an approximation of the Hawks playbook, which I think is really, really cool. And there'll be like a dictionary, a glossary, and all those different things. So you can learn different actions. Now, the access to that sheet will be exclusively for my Patreon. Sorry, not Patreon, Substack pay subscribers, just because it's a massive undertaking. Took me a lot of time. Also want to shout out the guys over at Grizzlies Film, Shaq's NBA, and Tim_NBA, because those three guys do that for their particular market. So Tim_NBA tracks it for the Lakers, Grizzlies Film for Grizzlies Film, and then Shaq's for the Knicks. And so seeing their work inspired me to do so for the Hawks, because I feel like I watch it to the same depth, but I wasn't taking those types of notes, if you guys understand what I mean. So really, really excited to get that all out for you guys. I think that it'll be really informative. Hopefully you will learn a lot, and you all will, I know for a fact you all will appreciate it. But I just wanted to get that out the way to say, like, that's why I haven't been dropping episodes. I'm still watching the games. It just takes me a lot of time to catch up and a lot of time to log these games. A lot of time. I'm also working on my website too, building out a prospect tracker, which again, I think you all will really enjoy. Like right now, the script is running to sort of do some like historical backtracking and backfill to validate all the different things I'm tracking. So can't wait to release that stuff. That article will be on my Substack as well. Won't be paywall, but just sort of like talking through my thought process and why I thought those particular stats mattered, and sort of like how do I quantify a good game for prospects. So really excited to get to that stuff. Really excited that the Hawks are able to pull off this win. Back at it tomorrow, man. I'll have a guest for that tomorrow's podcast. So either be right after the game or sometime Tuesday afternoon. But yeah, hope you all have a great day. Hope you all have a great holidays. And yeah, y'all be safe.